show your face. Show your face, please, with Durk on top.
Now we went from not hearing anything about this OTF RICO trial to bombshells about it being dropped back to back to back, and judging from the things that the government claimed to have against them, it's not looking too good. Now throughout social media, everyone's downplaying everything that keep coming out as if it's not enough or as if the feds are just bluffing. But no matter what you think or how they may appear, there's a reason these guys don't have a bond, and it's been almost 2 years since these guys have been arrested. Not to mention they recently just added 2 more charges to the case, in which one of them they claim they dropped months ago, alleging that Durk nor anyone from OTF will be charged. Suddenly I guess they found a way, and now the charges have came back to haunt them, and that's just one of many of the little tricks that the feds have up their sleeve. Now let's backtrack real quick because there's been a few things that have been coming out. OTF Diddy and his attorneys would attempt to get a bond for him, as it said that there's a possibility that the trial date set for August will be pushed back yet again. Now this was right after the 2 new charges were introduced by the government, and Diddy's defense was that the 2 new charges don't have anything to do with him because he isn't included in that. However, like I told y'all before, when they hit you with a RICO, whatever crime that's committed under the same umbrella that you're under, it now includes you because they label the entity a criminal organization, and that's what they're doing with OTF. So he may have not been present, but he still fall under the OTF umbrella, therefore he's included in whatever they're accusing OTF of. Not to mention, the feds also pointed out that Diddy isn't a saint himself. During the time of the Lil Pab shooting, he was already out on bond facing another homicide charge that he was later acquitted of, but he also currently have pending state charges for unlawful use of a weapon. Basically, what they're trying to paint Diddy as is a threat to society, and him being released would not be a good look for the community. Keep in mind, they also would reveal that they have proof via text messaging that allegedly Diddy was recruiting men to go to Cali and actually participate in the homicide of Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Pab. They're even saying that he's the one that coordinated the travel to California, in which I thought that was OTF Varney's doing, but I'm assuming Diddy also played a part in it according to the feds. Then to add salt to injury, they're claiming 45 minutes after the shooting of Lil Pab, Diddy was seen at an In-N-Out Burger with another co-defendant ordering food as Lil Pab's lifeless body was being carried out of the vehicle. So what they're doing there is trying to paint a picture that Diddy is this dangerous menace to society, and all they have to do is convince a jury of the same thing. So most people keep thinking none of this is serious, but let me tell you something. The government have witnesses, informants, and cooperators. And there's no telling what else they have because, as you can see, they even tracked Diddy's movements after the shooting all the way to the burger spot. So who knows what else they seen on surveillance or what the informants have told them already. And one thing about the feds, they're going to trial, which means they're going to be spending money, and they hate that. So whether it's Durk, Diddy, OTF Jam, Varney, Flocka, who knows? Those are just the ones we know about, but somebody is going to take the fall for this, and somebody is going to be doing a lot of time. However, now the feds have introduced even more claims, and now they're saying that even prior to the day Lil Pab was unalived, they allegedly have proof that it wasn't the first time that they stalked and tried to unalive Quando Rondo. According to the feds, it was another separate time from that before in 2021. Now it didn't stop there, because they're also stating that in text message threads, the same person who purchased the flight for the alleged suspects will also be the same person that sent Lil Durk posts from the shooting and news clips of Quando Rondo screaming. And shortly after he did that, Durk would change his number. Now you know what I realized? Lil Durk gets the bad end of the stick, where everyone blames him for being a fool and moving sloppy. But when you really pay attention to the documents and the evidence that they're presenting, it's mostly the guys who was around him, the guys he allegedly had doing whatever they're accusing him of, because these are the guys that seem to be who the feds are getting all their evidence for to accuse Durk. I haven't seen anywhere where they're saying they caught Lil Durk red-handed saying or doing something other than saying too much in music or in that interview with DJ Academics. Other than that, it's been everyone else around him, or these text messages that they just brought up, but it's kind of coded in language, even though they can break it down. Now I believe this is why they changed the M for hire to a conspiracy charge, because it'll be easier to prove a conspiracy than the M for hire, because they don't have any direct evidence. However, the people around him have direct evidence where Durk is mentioned in M for hire situations. Get it? But we're going to get into all the recent situations where the feds feel they have enough evidence to prove that Lil Durk is allegedly putting bounties on people and getting people gone. Now, before we get into it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hype the video so we can get into the algorithm, and if you're not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it. Now, starting with the text messages from the person who purchased the flights, the government will give timestamps and dates in which they have text messages between Durk and other OTF affiliates. So let's get into the document as it'll state, quote, on July 6, 2023, defendant Banks sent a group text message to co-conspirators including defendant Wilson stating, quote, D-Ski beat his murder, he gonna be more dangerous. On August 4, 2023, defendant Banks sent a group text message to co-conspirators including defendant Wilson stating that a suspected government informant and co-conspirator was, quote, just ready to snitch blood, clear as day, end quote. He gonna tell soon. On August 4, 2023, in the same group text message thread, reference above in Overt Act 34, defendant Wilson responded saying, quote, he think he could break us down. On August 4, 2023, in the same group text message thread, reference above in Overt Act 34, a co-conspirator replied, quote, beware of everybody, not just the suspected government informant. On August 4, 2023, in the same group text message thread, reference above in Overt Act 34, defendant Banks reassured his co-conspirators stating, quote, as long as we don't break, they can tell him whatever. On August 5, 2023, in response to a text message from defendant Wilson stating, quote, ninjas out there already playing with folks' name. Defendant Banks referenced the Banks Gang Enterprises violence stating, quote, crazy blood, ninjas don't slide or hurt. Mother effer leave it all up to us. Now, with so many questions to ask here, right? For one, why would you sit there and send me pictures in my text message of that? Keep in mind, if you really wanted to do that, you was better off sending it on Signal app or something else. But this just goes to show how sloppy the guys around him were being, which led up to exactly what we're seeing now. On top of that, they're saying after he was sent the text, Durk ended up switching his number, in which I'm sure he did because he probably couldn't believe bro sent him that neither. But whether you switch your number or not, as y'all know, once text messages, pictures, apps are in that cloud storage, there's no deleting anything. Everything can be recovered and is basically a digital footprint that's left whenever you send a text, picture, and etc. So just remember, just because you delete something out your phone doesn't mean that it's gone. It just left your phone. That's about it. Now, as far as the text messages go, you can see clearly that according to prosecutors, Durk acknowledges that there is an informant around and he knows about it, but he also says that nobody slides and they leave it all up to them. So I know y'all like to act like the feds are just oblivious and don't know what the slang mean, but it's clear as day that they do, and those same words will be used against them in the court of law. And for the people that swear none of this matters, just know that this is all a part of their plan to push a narrative to the grand jury. And know that this is just the information that they're releasing now. Imagine everything else that they have set for trial. Now, moving on, let's get into the second piece of evidence the feds will find out during the investigation. Because honestly, this is where the informants come in if you ask me. Because how else would the feds know of this unless they were told? Now, according to more evidence introduced by the government, they would state that allegedly in 2021, THF Bezu, OTF Varney, and Durk conspired to unalive Quando Rondo after following him after one of his shows. Meaning, the time Little Pad was shot unalive in 2022 wasn't the first time they attempted to take Quando's life, allegedly. Shots were fired at him that time at a gas station as well, but him and his crew managed to escape. According to government documents, it'll state, quote, on or about May 21st, 2021, defendant Banks and Grant and co-conspirator 6, in which we know to be THF Bezu, and others known and unknown, conspired to unalive TB, resulting in multiple co-conspirators following TB and its entourage around TB's concert near Blackshear, Georgia, and attempted to unalive TB with multiple, and that's where it cuts off. Now notice who they mentioned as the suspects within that case. They said it was a couple other co-conspirators, but mainly they said Varney, THF Bezu, and Lil Durk. Now also notice that OTF Varney is said to be cooperating with the government in the OTF RICO case as well, allegedly. So my only prediction would be that OTF Varney tipped the feds off about that one, because if nobody was picked up for that shooting, then how else would they know? And keep in mind, being that they mentioned this, at some point they're going to have to prove it in a court of law. So I'm sure they have some sort of evidence to prove these accusations one way or another, but I'm just wondering how they're going to go by doing that. Are they going to introduce surveillance, or are they going to introduce an informant to testify on knowing for sure that in 2021 they also stalked and tried to take the life of Quando Rondo then, just months after King Von's passing? Should be interesting. Now moving forward to the next bit of evidence they have to back up their motive that Durk and OTF was allegedly trying to slide for Von, they would bring up more text messages from Durk's phone where he could be seen stating that on the day of Von's death, he texted someone saying that he can't let this slide. Now in the document the government introduced, it'll state, quote, on November 7, 2020, the day after an associate of TB shot and unalived DB, defendant Banks texts co-conspirator 3, I can't let this slide. I ain't letting it slide. DB dying turning me into a different animal. Now keep in mind, DB stands for Davon Bennett, aka King Von's real name. Following the unaliving of DB on November 6, 2020, defendant Banks, using coded language, told co-conspirators, including defendant Wilson and co-conspirators 2, 4, and 5, that he would pay a bounty or monetary reward to anyone who took part in the unaliving of TB. Now what that is doing is just supporting their accusation that Durk was encouraging others to slide for Von and paying a bounty to get Quando Rondo unalived, which ultimately led to Lil Pab losing his life the second time they tried. And if they can prove that Durk actually texted that and prove that he's trying to put money on Quando Rondo's head, to be honest, that's ball game. But what I'm trying to figure out is why did these guys love putting incriminating things in text messages so bad? Between social media and cell phones, I don't know which one take down crews more. And it seemed like despite people seeing other people go down for it, they still continue to do the same thing time after time as if they got a secret formula to get away with it. Crazy. Now as y'all seen, they also stated that Durk has an unreleased video to his song Redman, where he has a man in the video who was supposed to resemble Quando Rondo. Here's more of them explaining the video as it'll state, quote, on or before January 21st, 2021, defendant Banks filmed and starred in an unreleased clip of a music video titled Redman, in which defendant Banks is depicted chasing and shooting an actor who looks substantially similar to TB. In the video, as depicted in the below screenshots, defendant Banks first views multiple online posts related to DB's death. After defendant Banks, who was then wearing a mask, fire multiple gunshots directly at the TB lookalike and execute the victim at short range, the video reveals that defendant Banks is both the shooter and the getaway driver who flees the crime scene. Now check this out. They will also highlight that after Lil Pab was shot and unalived, less than a month later, Quando Rondo himself will also shoot a music video to his song Soul Reaper, where he also depicts shooting and unaliving a Lil Durk lookalike in his video as he chased him down and unalived him. Now of course, everyone was entertained by it considering the feud that was between these two, but while everyone was entertained, the feds was also watching. And now that same video, along with the unreleased video of Durk, will be used against Durk and OTF. And it may seem like nothing, but once again, all they're trying to do is prove that there was motive for Lil Durk and OTF affiliates to want to do harm to Quando Rondo and prove that there was beef between both sides stemming from the unaliving of King Von. So it may seem like nothing now, but all of this is just a build-up until they present whatever other evidence that these guys have initially at trial that's set for August. Now moving on to the next thing, lastly, as of just an hour ago, it's been said that the feds also have reasonable suspicion to believe the time Lil Durk brought $1 million to his interview with Gillian Wallow, which took place in Chicago by the way, that money was allegedly used to pay the guys for the Lil Pab hit. It even states that the same suspects in that situation with Lil Pab was even present during the interview as well. Now here's what the document would say in regards to the $1 million as it'll state, quote, specifically co-conspirator 8 sent a text message to co-conspirator 7 stating, what's up with OTF? What you mean, they not paying? In response, co-conspirator 7 responded, we waiting. He, defendant Banks, come up here on the 17th. On or about February 17th, 2022, co-conspirator 7 traveled to a location in or around Chicago, Illinois, where defendant Banks was recording the music video for music song 1 and being interviewed. Defendant Banks brought approximately $1 million in cash to the location, which was displayed as defendant Banks was being interviewed. At the time, multiple members and associates of the Banks gang enterprise were present, including defendants Wilson and Jones and co-conspirator 4, and then that's where it cuts off. Now, if you pay attention, co-conspirator 7 and co-conspirator 8 are actually the same suspects from the Stephon Max case. So I guess when they brought those 2 new charges on Lil Durk and OTF, now that made these guys co-conspirators because now they actually are including Lil Durk in that Stephon Max case. And they also said that the person that was present for the Stephon Max hit, which was the suspect, was also present for the video. Now we know that because the text messages between the two would prove that they spoke on collecting money from Durk due to Stephon Max hit allegedly, and they even dropped timestamps for when he was going to be in Chicago. And come to find out, he was in fact in Chicago at the same time that the text messages suggested. So we know that the suspect in Stephon Max hit was there, but how do you know the suspect in Lil Pab's hit was there as well to say that the money that was brought there was taken to pay for Lil Pab's hit, unless they were informed? And just think about this, when a jury, who I'm sure is going to be full of YT people, see that this young black guy took $1 million to the trenches of Chicago, their first question is going to be, well, why? Right? Why would anybody in their right mind take out $1 million from the bank to go to a hood in Chicago amongst plenty of other hood dudes who were surrounding him? Saying it was just for an interview, I don't know how that's going to work, but to the average person, especially a YT person, they're going to want to know why this man, young black rapper, has $1 million in the Chicago trenches, right? I mean, that's just a normal question to ask. And like I said, you can say it was for the interview, but then also when the prosecutors come and they show the text messages saying that these guys are supposed to collect money at a certain date, and you actually show up to the same location they said you would be on the same date with all that money, it's going to be kind of hard to defend that. And this is just me speaking from a logical standpoint, right? But he does have the billion-dollar lawyer, so let's see. So far that's everything that's been out recently concerning Lil Durk and OTF within this RICO trial. Most people keep saying that they have a weak case, but let me tell you this, right? Whenever you have witnesses, cooperators against you, especially ones that's involved in this case, you can never have a weak case. I see a lot of people downplaying this case, but it just goes to show how unaware they are when it comes to playing with the feds. But you'll see sooner or later. I don't wish jail or death on anybody, so I wish them the best, but let's see, y'all. And I also have a very strange feeling that due to the suspect in Duck's case not being sentenced yet, somehow, some way, it may have something to do in regards to this OTF RICO case. Mark my words. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. I'm out.
Hey, how your gun for them? You better have your gun for me. Better have your gun for Booney. Better have your gun for C. You don't believe me, you gon' see. You gonna end up by that tree.
Know that we did.
Are you tired of a bunch of social media gurus promising you results with their course, but all they do is take a bunch of information off YouTube and Google, then sell it to you? Well, look no further. Our YouTube Tips and Tricks Masterclass course comes equipped with SEO tips and tricks, along with methods we use to growth hack our YouTube channel. It also includes step-by-step ways to publish your video before uploading to guarantee a great SEO score, therefore your videos can rank and be shown to a bigger audience. Views and subscribers don't come by luck, and just how YouTube have an algorithm, you should have one as well that can guarantee you results. We doing websites and softwares we personally use to generate money creating Faces YouTube channels. If you also would like to skip the process and just buy other pre-built accounts, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, we also threw that in there for you too. We went through trial and error, so you don't have to. Click the link in the description or the comments and get started today.